Hey, ladies. Welcome to today's session, today's discussion. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe if you are not currently a subscriber. Today is my first call-in show. Have to admit I'm a little nervous, but you know what? We're gonna uh I guess I'm a little nervous because, I know that this is a very emotional topic for many people, and I'm just like, okay, but I'm looking forward to hearing everyone's thought processes with regards to this. So, um, before, as people are coming in, I definitely want to, first of all, just kind of give a couple of announcements here. So, again, everybody, don't forget to like the video. Uh, the first announcement is all about Angela Lansbury. I am a Murder She Wrote fan, like a super fan. Angela Lansbury was Jessica Fletcher for 12 seasons. She also was Mrs. Potts in Beauty and the Beast. She was an icon even before then. Well, she has passed, so we definitely want to say rest in peace to Angela Bassett. Oh my God, not Angela Bassett, sorry. Sorry, God, sorry. No, Angela Lansbury. I'm a super big fan of hers. So I just saw earlier today that she has passed, and I definitely wanted to do a rest in peace to her. So, got people in here already. So, hello, Ruth, saying build with other men. Black women, it's really okay to do what is in your absolute best interest. I agree with this. I agree that we as individuals should do what's in our best interest. So, Arrow Demi Dive is in the house. We should build what we want, regardless of what any man are doing or any men are doing. It's the best way to ensure we get exactly what we need. One of the things I wrote down on my notes here is that life is short. We only have one life to live, ladies. So, it's important for us to live it to the fullest. So, hey, Computer and Coin, good evening. Please, everyone, like the video and share the live. Yeah, so tonight's going to be really positive discussion. It is going to be about what are we going to do? And this started because a couple of weeks ago, there was a TikTok that came out of a woman who was showing all about building, right? She was saying, we want communities built. And actually, I'm going to show a portion of that again, just like the first minute for everybody to see here. This is her. Her name is Chef Tyree. And then I've got some notes to go through, probably take me about 15 minutes to go through my notes, just to kind of level set what the discussion is today. Then I'm going to put the StreamYard link in the chat for you ladies, and you will be able to come up and tell me what you think. So Chef Tyree started all of this. Let's see what she has to say here. And let me just make sure. Oh, you know what? I forget. I have to actually do this from a different browser because my StreamYard is a little weird. Okay. So sorry, everybody. Let me try this again. I am not seeing it. Why am I not seeing it? Yeah, here we go. Okay. Everybody, let me know if you can hear it.
Y'all wanted to know what I meant by resources and community? For those of y'all who in my comment section glitching, here it is. When I asked the black man what resources he's built for his community for the last 40 years, this is what I mean. Asian law office, right next to it, Asian restaurant. Yes, this might be a truest bank, but all of the bank manager and the bankers in here, the people who are actually working with the people in the community are Asian. I can turn around. Right over here is another Asian restaurant. Another Asian restaurant. Community for their people. Resources for their people. Right there, Asian restaurant. Right next to the Asian restaurant is an Asian grocery store where they've built community resources for their people.
Okay, ladies, sound is good. Perfect. So, you all heard what she said. And when I saw this on Cerebral's channel, I did a section of, sorry, part one, where I said, we we are consistently, I have been consistently over the past few years hearing Black women say this online. But if they don't build, then what? Then what are you going to do? Then what are we going to do? Do we do things collectively? Do we do things individually? Do we keep asking? I think this is a very important decision that all of us have to make individually and collectively. And y'all know within this channel, I specifically focus on Black women who want to get their money up. Um, there's a lot of Black women who live in poverty or who live in working class neighborhoods that are trying to get to the next level economically. I'm a person who says, okay, why don't we figure out how to help as many Black women as possible um, get to the next level in their income and in their wealth building so that they can have safe neighborhoods, be able to send their kids to great schools, things like that. And I wanted today's show to be really solutions oriented for us as Black women without thinking about Black men building, without bashing Black men, because y'all know that's not what I do. But I will say this, look, we have some serious issues in the Black community with Black women and Black men. We have a lot of fatherless homes. We have low marriage rates. We have a lot of poverty, a lot of crime in our neighborhoods. We have a poor education system in our communities that mostly houses us. We have little political influence, as we saw from that no voting, no vucking video that is out. Oh, Arrow Demi Dob, we just started. We just started. Hey. Um, we have a lot of serious issues with regards to where we are right now. And what I personally believe, and this is the reason why I started this channel, was I believe that each of us individually can, in the United States of America, we can get out of poverty. We can reach the American dream. We can create generational legacy for ourselves, for our kids, for our grandkids, no matter what. Being a Black woman is a great thing right now. There are a lot of opportunities that are being given to us. And what I want to do is I want to see us be able to capture that. So when I saw this video, a part of me was kind of saddened because I saw, and it was a 3-part video. She talked about Asians, and then part 2 or 3, she talked about the Hispanic community. I see us continuously asking this question and begging for someone else to help and to uplift. And part of what I wanted to do today, I just don't have the time to do it, was show on the men's side some of the things that are happening. I'm still going to do a show. Actually, I decided to do a separate show on men being in crisis and some of the things that are happening with them, because I think it's important for us to talk about. But today's show was specifically about women and about the Black women's agenda for you individually as well as for us collectively. So here are some of the things that I'm thinking about as we're starting to talk about the Black women's agenda. And actually, I'm going to put StreamYard link into the chat. I'm gonna put the StreamYard link into the chat so y'all can start coming up. And I also want to say this to all of my mods. If you are a mod, and if there's, because this may attract some people who don't have Black women's best interests in mind, feel free to ban them for life. I already had to ban somebody for life for a very derogatory comment that was made on the channel. So I have no problems banning people for life. So if a person just disagrees, they can disagree. But if they talk very inappropriately, or if you've seen them in other people's chats and they're just not a good person, not the energy we want here, if you are a mod, just ban them for life. Okay? Thank you. So let's continue talking. So with regards to the Black Women's Agenda, I have a few ideas. And actually, I'm going to, let's see here. I'm going to show you one thing that I thought about. And that is, and this is not an all-inclusive list that I have here. One of the things that I have on my list, I know that a lot of people are going to talk about femicide. We're going to talk about safer communities. Definitely, as you all are coming in, we can have those conversations. But I wanted to throw a couple of things out that maybe you hadn't thought about. And one of them is the fact that the Crown Act has been passed by the House of Representatives, and it has also been passed by various states and a handful of red states. 18 states totally have passed the Crown Act. You may be asking, what's the Crown Act? The Crown Act allows us to wear our natural hair in workplaces and still be seen as professional in the workplace. Why is this important? Because over the past 100 plus years, 200 years since we've been in corporate America, we were locked out of opportunities because of our hair, because we wore braids, because we sent our children, especially our young girls, to school with their hairs in cornrows and braids, because we know we like a lot of protective styles, right? And we were denied employment. We were denied educational attainment. We were denied raises that we were due. We were denied promotions. The glass ceiling was definitely there for us. So one of the things that I think that we should be continuously fighting for is to continue getting the Crown Act pushed to all 50 states. So I don't know anything about this group. I'm just throwing it out here as I was doing my research. There's the Legal Defense Fund that is connected to the NAACP. Again, I don't know anything about these people, but they are working on the legislation to get the Crown Act passed in all 50 states. This is one thing that I think that Black women should be advocating for. Okay. Another thing, this article just came out today. This was in CNN. I had mentioned before, maternity deaths. The Republicans are saying, okay, no more abortion. They're trying to spread it out to all 50 states. Right now, they're mostly in red states. But we as Black women are dying, my understanding is 4 times more than any other race of women. There's still information, I heard this on a podcast, in textbooks that says that because we have dark skin, we don't feel as much pain as other women do. This says here from CNN, 36% of US counties are maternity care deserts. And most of those counties probably are in our communities. This is saying, according to the March Dimes, found that between 2020 and 2022, 5% of US counties reduced maternity care access, but only 3% of counties shifted to increase access to care. Maternity care deserts can be associated with a lack of adequate prenatal care during pregnancy and treatment for pregnancy complications, and even an increased risk of maternal death. Here's part of my concern, ladies. If Serena Williams can't get proper care. Serena Williams cannot get proper care during her childbirth. It doesn't matter how much money you have. This is a problem. This is a problem that I do believe should be addressed. I have a couple other things and then I'll start bringing people in. Well, I don't see anybody in here thus far, so I hope somebody will come up and talk to me. A couple other things that I have on my list. I would love to see how Black women can get higher education without student debt. How can we get more Black women, not as CNAs, certified nursing assistants, but how can we get more Black women registered nurses? I don't know if Mocha Mommy is in here yet, but she probably knows all of the higher up degrees, nurse practitioners, anesthesiologists, things like that, without student loan debt. As someone who carries a high student loan debt, I don't want that for any young Black girl. It doesn't matter how she grew up, if she grew up in poverty or if she grew up with, more affluent parents. If she is making it through school and she is, getting a computer science degree, or if she's going to get a specialized nursing degree, or even if she just wants some Google Tech certification so that she is more employable, and she can get out of poverty or have a good starting salary without student debt, I'm all for it. Another thing that I have on here, because y'all know this is Black women making money, so I'm focusing on the money. I'm focused here on business funding for Black women. There's a Morgan Stanley report, and I see someone here. Give me a second and I'll bring you up. When our businesses are properly funded, according to Morgan Stanley, we make just as much money as any other ethnically founded group that's out there. But Black people, including Black women, typically have much less funding than white men, than Asian men. How can we bridge that gap with our business funding so that the businesses that we're starting, because we do have the most businesses starting out there, how can we set it up so that we are properly funded? I also want to see more home ownership for Black women, including the heavy promotion of government programs like NACA. These last two things on here I have may be very controversial, but I'm going to throw it out anyway. I do think there needs to be more promotion of Black women marrying before we have children. Again, I'm not talking about the men right now. The men are going to have to figure out what the men are doing. But I do believe part of the reason we have some of the financial struggles we have is because we are having children before we're getting married, or we're having children in marriages that do not financially suit us. And that doesn't mean we put all the other stuff aside. I am anti-DV to the highest degree. I think that you should be well matched with whomever you are talking to and marrying. But I do believe in that. And the final thing that may be controversial, I do think part of the Black women's agenda, because many Black women are mothers and most are mothers of boy children, we should have something that includes Black boys. Now, I'm not talking Black men 30, 40, 50. I'm talking, what do we do with our 3-year-olds? What do we do with our 5-year-olds, our 7-year-olds, our 10-year-olds, our 12-year-olds? Try to get them when they're young. Are there things that we should do? So, God bless. Whoa.
I'm sorry. Can
Hi.
you hear me?
I can hear you. You can turn your camera off if you want to.
Okay.
Yeah, protect your identity. Yeah,
Yeah,
there you go, girl.
I had my bonnet on. I was relaxing today.
Yes, girl. Hi.
Hi, thank you. I would like to say this. I really enjoy your show. I just kind of stumble upon you, and I got interest in your show when you spoke so kindly to the young lady who was talking about Black excellence, and moving away from that. And your point of
Yeah.
view was so positive, even though it was different. It was so positive.
Yeah.
So I
Thank
really
you.
appreciate that. But I want to speak on one part when you talk about nursing,
Yes.
becoming a registered nurse. So I've been a registered nurse going on for 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
Um, right now, I do administration,
Mm-hmm.
but I move away from it, and I'm an entrepreneur. I own my own home care agency. Also, I just started
Mm-hmm.
that.
Mm-hmm.
And what I think is that you need to start off at is in the schools. For example, if you're in high school, they should have a program such as a licensed practical nurse.
Mm-hmm.
They work under the registered nurse. Okay. And there's certain things that they can't do as a registered nurse, but this will get your foot in the door of medical field. A licensed practical nurse in certain places can make $28 an hour.
Mm-hmm.
And so while you're doing that, you can go back to school for RN to be a registered nurse or go high up. But it starts in schools when they take away these programs to be a licensed practical nurse, cosmetology, things of that nature, a mechanic, welding. You hamper the kids. That's how they get introduced to certain fields. It starts in the high schools.
I like that. I like that because, there's a lot of talk about bringing the trades back into the high school, but I had not thought about the program of letting young ladies or young boys as well become LPNs in high school. And that way, again, um, they can do it. They can graduate with a practical skill. They can start working immediately.
Hmm.
I don't even know, and you can let me know this, if once they start working, if there are hospitals that would pay for them to become RNs, especially if there's a shortage.
Yes, they pay for it. You may
Hmm.
have to do, for example, if you got accepted in the program, of course you have to get accepted in the program. When you
Hmm.
get accepted in the program, they pay for it. You may have to do 2 years or 4 years at the facility to
Hmm.
pay back that part. Well, 2 years or 4 years go by real fast in nursing. Nursing is a hard field.
Yes.
So it's not an easy field. So it moves fast. So that's
Hmm.
why I really wanted people, even Black men, you know, um, nursing should not be exclusive to only women. You have to introduce that to men.
I agree.
I just, that's just my issue when it comes to nursing. When they always have a female.
Hmm.
They may have a Black person once in a while, but they usually have a white female. That's a problem. You
Yeah.
need people who can um, respond. And when you have patients, there's certain times patients that are Black patients will respond to you differently than they respond to a white nurse.
Hmm. I'm
They'll
sorry. Hold
tell you
on,
that.
Charlie. If you can turn the background noise off, I'll let you up. Go ahead. God bless.
No, I'm just saying they respond different, and so
Hmm.
that's the reason why I try to emphasize that a lot when it comes to we need more black Black nurses, male and female, and also let me say about CNAs. Um, Sometimes the CNA certified nurse assistants are awesome.
Hmm.
They're one of the backbones of our long-term care facilities
Hmm.
and also in the hospital settings.
Yes.
And a lot of times these people overwork. But I think
Hmm.
the saddest part when you see sometimes 70-year-old woman who has to work as a CNA, who can barely turn someone and she's broken down.
Yeah, but part of my concern with the CNAs, just overall, if I'm speaking with a young lady, is that they are very they have very low pay. I've done business plans and I've had to do the pricing for their salaries, and I think that it is difficult to build wealth, to build a nest egg on $12 an hour. Um,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I totally agree. Unfortunately, some of these. So let me just tell you a little bit, Sheree, that there's a change is going on.
Uh-huh.
Agency nursing, and some of the nurses who's in the chat can vouch for this, are actually coming into place, and
Mm-hmm.
they're taking the CNA. So a lot of CNAs now work for, um, what you call it? CNAs are now working for the long-term care facility, working at agencies. And so they're getting paid 22, sometimes $24 an hour,
Okay.
26. But this is downsized with this. A lot of times these people are away from their family for a long period of time.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. The insurance may not be that be great. And so it's a downfall to that,
Yeah.
because it's not a balance, and you become like a nomad. And for some people that's a great thing. For others it may not be.
I understand. I understand. I mean, so for people, both men and women, but let's just talk about women here. There is a need at some point for stability.
Yes.
There are a lot of women who want to be mothers and have families, and it is very difficult to travel, being a traveling nurse or anything like that long term. There are some women that that's their lane, but for most women it's not. And I think that we need to be able to set our young Black women up, and just Black women overall, to be able to
Hmm.
make good livings while also being able to balance a family you know
Yeah.
yeah, so I want to read some of these comments and then I'm gonna bring Charlie up. So if you can mute yourself, and then I'll definitely come back to you if you
Thank you
want to
so
stay
much.
on. Absolutely. Thank you. So TT is saying, oh, everybody, please like the stream. Everybody, please like the stream and please share. Sisters out here making money. We can build together as Black women. Absolutely. Selfish Love is saying, I agree, Cherie. At this point, I'm tired of making the discussion about them. I'm focused on me and women who look like me. So, and yeah, I agree. We need to expand the conversation. Errol Demi Dive is saying, I love that idea. Decide individually what works for you. Um, no voting, no vucking. All I can say is look it up, but close your eyes once you see it. It's an embarrassment. Yes, it is. You hadn't heard of it. Yeah, you're blessed then. So Black women need to get at the source of the pipeline. I agree with this. Women with connections in the Caribbean and Africa need to work with other women to extract and sustain resources. Okay, we could definitely talk about that, because I didn't include women outside of the United States. But yeah, we do need to figure out how we can work together more. Um, awesome. Love my sister locks. Yeah, and we have the right to have our hairstyles protected without it being seen as unprofessional. Now, I will say there are some people who I've seen their hair and it is all over the place. I do think we need to strengthen that up a little bit, but yeah, our sister locks are professional, our braids are professional, you know. So, Selfish Love is saying the fact that we need a law to wear our hair the way it grows out of our scalp is a bit too much. Here's the issue: it's not that we need a law to wear our hair like this, it's the discriminatory practices that come with it. So, yeah, unfortunately, we do need a law so that someone who doesn't look like us doesn't look at our hair and say, well, I don't know what that is, therefore I'm going to discriminate against you. Just like in the 1940s and 50s and 60s, we were discriminated against just because we were Black. It's unfortunate, but yeah. Living Lovin is saying Black women interested in media need to reduce focus on being singers, actresses, and dancers to become the producers and finders of media projects. Then they can create their own stories and hire fellow Black women. I've also heard great things with regards to becoming writers as well, because you get credits and sometimes you get back in. You can let me know, Live and Lovin', if you're still here, if that's true. Well, there were laws to have probably our hair covered, so it's not surprising. Yeah, yeah. Frightening data. We need a few research institutes based focused on clinical research specifically for Black women maternal health. run by Black women research scientists, MD surgeons, yeah, not AW or WW, and not a focus on mixed women. I agree with that. I agree with that. We need Black women within the Divine Nine in the US government to vote for those D9 candidates who support our interests. So I will say this, not all skin folk or kin folk. So we do need to first of all figure out what we want. This is just my opinion. Figure out what we want. What are our interests? And then find the candidates who align with our interests and support them with campaign contributions as well as votes. That's how other communities do it. The community college to 4-year state university pipeline needs to be marketed to Black women. Yeah. No student loan debt unless you're going to an Ivy League school should be the standard. Look, for me, even if a girl is going to an Ivy League school, but she's going for like certain degrees, like an MD, for example, I'm still down with the no student loan. Um, Boarding schools in high school should be promoted to Black women for Black women. Okay. No wedding, no womb. Agree. Agree heavily with Black women needing to stop getting pregnant before marriage. Don't get married to men who cannot afford financially support you. I agree. More Black women who have the means helping plus mentoring young women in elementary, middle, and high school goes a long way. Yes, everybody, please like the video. Oh, wow. Y'all have a lot of comments in here. I might have to, yeah, y'all got a lot of comments in here. I don't want to go too long. I'm going to bring up Charlie, actually. Thanks for all the comments. Y'all are talking a lot tonight. And you have a background, maybe another YouTube. It's open because I'm hearing an echo.
Oh, darn. I don't have anything on. I had on a fan, but I turned it off. You're still hearing it?
Well, yeah, but only when I speak. So why don't you go and talk, and I'm going to put myself on mute.
Okay. Thank you for having me up. I am loving this conversation. I love your channel. You're just, like someone else said, so positive and really solutions oriented, and I love that. But I just made a list. I wish I could stay up longer, but I can't. Just to go on some stuff. Some of the stuff has already been said, but like I said, I just made a list. So building independent of any group of men, and don't worry about, what men are doing. Let's just build what we want to see. I would love to see Black women on the ground floor of an industry that is like highly educated or highly trained. We kind of have that reputation kind of in nursing. We're getting that reputation of it being very Black woman centered, but I would like to see more of that, more industries where we're really in the mix and get in on the ground floor.
Yes, and that's why I did the tech sales video.
Yes, and also you also did one, the insurance for the concealed carry.
Yes,
loved that. I think that if we could get 5-6 industries, that would be so amazing. I think I would like to see credit unions and mortgage companies, because you did mention home ownership earlier, and if we could get more credit unions and mortgage companies to help us build that generational wealth through real estate home ownership, that would be outstanding. I remember when I was in high school, I'm in my mid-30s, but when I was in high school, I actually took a basic budgeting and finance class, and it was an elective. But if we could push for making it mandatory that kids have to take a budgeting and finance class, and when I was a kid, we learned, building a budget, doing your 1040 easy, and like, what is that? I can't even remember the term because we don't really do it anymore, but like balancing a checkbook, which is not really something that's needed so much anymore. But yeah, we learned how to do that, and that was really, really beneficial to me. My mother always was very finance oriented, but it was really that kind of pushed it the extra mile to learn it in a class in school. We learned about Maslow's hierarchy of needs. We learned about a bunch of stuff that would be really, really beneficial.
Can I
Can
just
I
chime
just
in
chime
here?
in here?
Of course.
Because if
Because if
people can
people
talk
can talk
about
about
CRT
CRT
being placed
being
in our
placed in our
scopes,
scopes,
Hmm.
I think
I
that we
think that
can
we can
fight for
fight
these
for.
types of classes. I think that we need to figure out. So I spoke with, and I think I said this before in one of the other live streams. I spoke with a presidential candidate, libertarian presidential candidate, and he finally admitted to me that the governor is the one who dictates uh, school curriculum. So we need to start focusing on some of these governor races and some of these school board races and say, this is a curriculum that we want our kids to learn, and really start pushing and advocating for that in an organized manner. Um, so,
So
Charlie,
Charlie,
Oh darn, I'm lost. I'm out. I'm sorry, I can't hear you. I'm
no,
no,
muted.
I can
no,
hear
I can
you.
hear you.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Um, yes, I love that. I would love a concerted push, and that was actually another one of the things on my list. Don't vote without some kind of direct benefit to our interests. We got to stop voting, um, trying to trying to mitigate something, trying to keep something from happening. We need to be more proactive in voting in order to advance ourselves, our interests as Black women. And I think a couple of other, I only have like two other things on the list, which are channels like yours, um, channels like this one that are solutions oriented and again, so positive and innovative, which I cannot stress enough because it's just such a breath of fresh air. And also just getting out of the poverty and scarcity mindset. I think Black women, some Black women we've been raised to believe that we don't deserve good things and you have to work hard. And of course, you do have to work hard, but I mean, working your fingers to the bone, that you can't, work can't be enjoyable, work can't be beneficial, that you're always going to be getting by the skin of your teeth, and just to be exhausted and tired all the time. And it shouldn't be that way. Maybe at some point just to establish yourself, but it shouldn't always just be a toil. So that's really everything that I had on my list. But I just want to thank you again, Miss Cherie. I love this channel so much.
You are
You're
welcome.
welcome.
Thank you for being a part of the family, definitely. And I know you have to go. You can stay as long as you want to, but I loved your list. I think that there are definitely things in there that we can add because it's also cohesive as well. So, Selfish Love is in the house. Hello.
Hello, hello, Cherie. Can you hear me?
I can. Yes. What do you have?
Yeah. So I wanted to talk about we were talking the to answer your question as far as what can we do, and my plan and my individual plan, my plan for us as Black women has always been for us to start a fund, pool all our money together, and take over our industry. I specifically think that the marijuana, oh, I don't know if I can say that, that the pot industry
Hmm.
can would be something that we can easily do. Planet 13 is a very, very good company. And let me go back. I have a background in finance and accounting. So I'm used to dealing with balance sheets, companies, financial statements, and investing the whole nine. And so I have really been looking at Planet 13. I personally own that company, but I think that's a company that we can easily, as Black women, pull our resources together and go after to one, buy up enough shares, own 20%, get a seat on the board, have a say in the conversation, but honestly, let white men continue to run it, you know?
I have to admit, I love that as an idea because I want to be a passive investor and I
Right?
want to be one of those activist investors where I just show up and I'm like, yes, things are going well. Where's my dividend check? You know?
Yes.
Yeah.
Listen, and look, I will get down into the numbers, honey, but I don't want to run anything. I just want to enjoy the fruits of your labor, you know? So I definitely think that I just don't know how to get something like that going.
I think
But
this is
I
where we put our heads together, you know. I mean, with regards to a fund that I know you have to go through the SEC. So I'm involved with equity crowdfunding specifically, which is
Mhm.
different from a fund. But with the people that I know that have funds, they do have to go through the SEC. There are a lot of disclosures that you have to do, but there are a lot of funds that are out there, you know, and everything has been modeled for us. I think we just need to find a
Right.
couple of companies. I would have no problem having a couple of white men, you know, uh, mentoring us or being on a board with us or something like that that have more
Agreed.
experience as well. And that way we could say, okay, this is overall what we're trying to do. And, you know, we don't have to reinvent the wheel. Definitely not.
Right.
But I
Right.
like your idea. I like your idea. In that way, you know, we could set it up again like we're all getting dividends, like we're smart about what we're investing in, and we can invest in different cash cow businesses that, you know, anybody who owns shares in it, you get, you know, your checks once a quarter or once every 6 months or whatever. So, um,
Right.
mhm,
And it also will allow us to fix all the other things, right? So now we
yeah.
will be able to fund and have scholarships for more women who look like us to go into the medical field to stop the infant mortality rate, Black women dying just by giving birth. You know,
Hmm.
in my mind, it's all correlated. I mean, I don't know if you recently saw. I even had this was kind of embarrassing. One of my white friends asked me. She was like, "It's funny how if somebody disrespect the J community, everything is instantly shut down. Like Kanye
Hmm.
just got taken out." She was like, "Why doesn't that happen?" She's like a woke, one of those woke friends. She's like,
Hmm.
"Why doesn't that not happen for Black people? It is so unfair." And I'm thinking to myself, "Girl, that's a whole nother story for a whole nother time."
It
But
is. Yes.
but that made me think we don't have any money and no power. And it's
Yes. Well, and that I was going to do a whole video on it, but I don't have time to be on YouTube all day and night
agreed.
doing all these videos. But I had told y'all a couple of weeks ago that Kanye, even before the whole White Lives Matter thing, I did a video saying, y'all, Kanye is not the kind of businessman that people are giving him credit for. And I
Agreed.
stand more in that than I, you know, did a couple of weeks ago. But the reason, okay, so this is a very good point because I've been listening to a lot of conservatives talking about um, abortion,
Hmm.
and I don't know how the left wants to control Black women's rooms, and the right, every time they have something to say, they bring Black women into it all the time. I have never seen so many people in the United States care about Black women giving birth, either way.
Agreed.
Okay, now I'm going to tell everybody who's here, you know, if the channel gets shut down, that's just the way it is. The left cares about the stem cell research. That's why they want us to have abortion. And the right cares because they want more prisoners in the future. I'm
Right.
saying it. I'm saying it, right?
And I'm agreeing with it.
Okay, so these people don't give a crap, okay, about us. So this whole idea of, you know, we need more numbers of people. I'm listening to this as conservative as I am, saying, no, that's not the case. We need more economic power in this country,
Right.
which is why I wanted to start this channel about how do we get as many of our households as possible up to 200K, because the Asian hate crime bill didn't come because they have numbers. It came because they have economic power. The
Yes.
minute we have economic power, we can line up with the Jays, and we're on one accord. I have both. We can line up with the Jays, we can line up with the Asians, and we can shut something down big time as well.
Agreed.
But
I
you have to have both.
100% agree.
Hmm.
And do you have a email address? Because
Hmm.
I didn't see it in the description. So I was maybe I missed it.
I don't put it in the description, but
Okay.
I can. I know there's a private chat in here somewhere. Yeah. Do you have access to the private chat? Can you
I
see?
do.
Okay. I'm going to put it in here for you then.
Okay.
All right,
All
and
right.
ladies, we call it the StreamYard link is pinned, so y'all can definitely come up. I wanted to read some of the. Do you have anything else, Selfish Love? Because I wanted to read some of the comments and then have you come in a little bit more. You
Yeah,
and God.
I definitely can hold on for a second. So
Okay, so a couple of things I'm seeing here. Lainey is saying after school tutoring programs like Human and Sylvan would be game changers for Black children, particularly in math and science subjects. I agree with this. I do believe we need a stronger culture of education. This is where the Asians have us beat. They on average do 2 hours per night of homework. We on average do 30 minutes. White people on average do an hour. We've got to at least match them with regards to the amount of effort and energy that our kids are putting into their homework and their schoolwork. Now, I do understand that Black boys learn differently than white boys. Black girls learn differently than white girls. We need to do some culturally relevant education. So we need culturally relevant Kumon and Sylvan, But I do agree with this, Laney, that this is something that we need to consider. Live and Lovin is saying Black women raw material suppliers. ICE, owner of New York Stock Exchange, is advocating to have resources like water traded on the stock exchange for sustainability reasons. It's a fight for resources. You are absolutely right about the fight for resources. I've seen some comments up here before. God bless and selfish love. I don't know if you two are parents of boys, but there was a discussion earlier about sending the Black boys to military school when they get 10 years old. Boarding school, Rue, LEI, and a couple of others are having a discussion about this, sending them to boarding school, sending them to military school. Are either of you parents to Black boys?
no, I am not a parent to a Black boy, but I do have a Black nephew, and he goes to boarding school.
What do you think about that as a thought process?
Well, one, I think the issue with our Black boys, right, is the lack of being around other men,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so that has definitely, like, I observe like the way my nephew acts, and he's 15 and his parents are pretty well to do. And so the way he carries himself versus the average Black boy, and trust me, I'm not saying that he's going to grow up to be any different or not be a Tyrone or whatever, but I'm
Mm-hmm.
just saying the way he carries himself now is totally different than the children that I see. And one, he has a father, and two, he's around other men all of the time.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't have children, but I can talk about the experience that my sister has had.
Yeah. God bless.
Well, I'm blessed with two boys.
Mm-hmm.
One who is on the spectrum and wonderfully blessed and made,
Mm-hmm.
and my 8-year-old son. And I kind of got mixed feelings with that taken to military because sometimes I think that we push the narrative that something is wrong
Mm-hmm.
or innate wrong with Black boys.
Mm-hmm.
And I think when you state that Black boys are innately um, damaged, that they have to go to a military school, I think it sends a message.
Mm-hmm.
But I may be wrong because I'm not, I don't have degrees in education or things of that need. As an educator, my background is in the medical field, but I do see sometimes that we have just it ties into the negativity image that we have of Blackness. And I think that it's part of it has to be control, that we're not ruling, that we need to be modeled. Somebody we have to be led like cheaps. I just don't know if other races that they do that with. I just don't see that.
Well,
And I may be off pace.
Yeah. So, you mind if we have a sensitive conversation? Yet, I'm saying everything out of love, and some of it is out of pure curiosity as well. You mind if we
Oh
do
yes,
that?
yes.
Okay. So, one of the things that I understand from um, a lot of the YouTube content creators, and I'm just kind of a fly on the wall here,
Mm-hmm.
as somebody who doesn't have, sons or anything like that, is that hip hop culture, like you can raise a really good child, male child, but
Mm-hmm.
hip hop culture at some point in the process takes over your teachings as a mother. And unless there are is a man in the household or are super strong men surrounding that young man to counterbalance
Mm-hmm.
the drill music, the other stuff. And now they're trying to do this rap act where the prosecutors are not going to be able to include their lyrics in on
Mm-hmm.
cases. So if that passes, really, God help us, right? um,
Exactly. Mhm.
I can understand, because I talk about crime all the time, right? How do we get these young boys when they are young? Because I don't believe that they are inherently bad. I do believe that 80% of our crime problems would be solved with economics. But I
Mhm.
also understand other people's concerns of hip hop. It doesn't matter how good of a job you do as a mother, hip hop and the Black culture that we have right now does take over in a way. So I'd love to hear your comments with regards to that.
Well, that's a really in-depth, loaded questions. I think it starts with realizing how important fatherhood. Let me start with that. In our
Mm-hmm.
community is.
Mm-hmm.
I'm blessed with a great husband, and he's a great father. So my children is blessed with that.
Mm-hmm.
But I want to also. I think sometimes we underplay the role of um, income, economics. It's not always. So I think it stems. Rap music is just a symptom
Mm-hmm.
of the problem. So if you have a mother, and again, please, if I'm wrong, please, it's a lot of people hit in the chat that can kind of give me some advice and information.
Mm-hmm.
If you have a mother, I'm just using an example, who's working 60, 80 hours a week,
Mm-hmm.
and that child is becoming like a latchkey kid. And so sometimes if your entertainment for kids, I'm just in general, is listen to music constantly that's saying vulgar information or um, calling the women in our community the B's in the H. And I do think that has some type of influence. But I also believe this: if you have a broken man in the home, a broken man in the home, sometimes that can even cause even more damage because you have a woman, and I have seen it, unfortunately, as a nurse, because I work with, unfortunately, with AIDS, and I see it. They have men in the home who are very negative, who doesn't provide the way they should. These CNAs are working 50, 60 hours a week. Well, the man is in the home, but it's a negative image that's bringing in the home. So when we said, just kind of going back into the rap is just, it's a symptom. Income. When you poor, and you don't have a lot of resources, you pick around with your surroundings that are. So if you broke, and I'm not trying to, and I hope I don't offend anyone, but if you broke, most likely your friends or who surround you are broke. So you choose the other broke man that's smiling at you, and y'all broke together.
I agree with that. I absolutely agree with that. And I think even if a young Black boy is raised by a single mother in a strong middle class household where
Mhm.
he goes to a racially diverse school, he has top notch teachers. Yes, he may hear hip hop, but he sees other images, other
Mhm.
people. He sees a different possibility in life. Uh, but um, but I've heard again the other side of it, which says, and I've even read we call it the research with regards to this, that I
Okay.
can't remember what percentage, but there's a certain percentage of Black boys
Mhm.
specifically that if they're raised in the middle class, they still revert back to poverty once they become adults, and they were blaming
Wow.
it on lack of fathers in the home. Now, I will say one more thing before I bring on Britt, if you don't mind.
Oh, no,
Um,
no, great.
uh, I will say that I absolutely agree with you with regards to if the father is what do you call it? It's is causing trouble in the home.
Mhm.
If the father is not a good father, not adding positivity, that could actually be worse to the children than not
Mhm.
having a father at all. So and I know you don't think this, I'm just saying this to the chat, especially for all the new people that are here. I
Yeah.
would never, ever say to a woman, keep a man who is DVing you, who is
Mm.
out all hours of the night cheating on you
Mhm.
just because he brings
Mhm.
home a check.
Yeah.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Because those kids see this. And I do call on other content creators. I did see a live stream with Yanni a few
Mhm.
years ago, and she talked about the fact that even though both of her parents were in the home, it was so toxic that she's still in
Mhm.
therapy because of it. So we as women choosing, I always say this to the ladies on this network, on this channel. The most important decision we will ever make is who the father of our children are. Because if you marry a man and you don't have kids, you could divorce him, and that's one thing. Once he is the father of your children, you can never ever replace him. You can't send dad back to sender. So we have to be very smart in how we are selecting these men. Doesn't matter what race they are. And I believe in interracially date, find the best man who's going to be the best husband to you, best father, best community member, etc. But any final words before I bring Britt back up?
Hey, Sheree,
No.
can I say something really quickly?
Yes.
Okay, this is super quick. I wanted to say real quick about the boarding school and military school situation, and just the conversation that you ladies were having. This made me think of this.
Mm-hmm.
The one thing that now I can verbalize it. My nephew is learning that it's not just okay because because I don't go to school in the hood. I'm just a step ahead of the Pookies and Ray Rays, so that makes me a better man. What
Mm-hmm.
he's learning is that he has to compete with John J. Rutledge III. He has to compete with an Asian young man whose father is the CEO of a company back in China.
Mm-hmm.
That is what he's learning to compete with. So he's not just trying to be better than a Pookie and a Ray Ray. So he's a good man. He's a quote unquote high value man, right? He is learning that he has to compete with the world, in the world of men, in the world of men with that come from families that have a name, and families that come from a lot of money.
I agree with
Yeah.
that. And that's why one of the things, and I did this session, a shout out to Computer and Coin, who's reminding everybody to please like the video, y'all. Please like, please share so that the algorithms can bless us. We talked about the future of work on Sunday. And if you all didn't catch that live stream, I definitely suggest it. Our kids, our grandkids, even us in the next 10 to 30 years, we are going to have to compete globally. I just read an article about Meta, the company Facebook, but they call themselves Meta now. They have these VR goggles that they are going to use for the future of work, which is coming rapidly, where you will be at your home office, you put these VR goggles on, it becomes your computer, and then you're going to be seated in the metaverse around, the what we call it, coffee table or the boardroom table, uh, with your other team members that are dispersed all across the globe. But what I'm trying to explain to people is, look, there was a time when you went for a job, you were only going up against Karen across town. Now you have to go against Akbar and Mustafa and Ling Ling across the globe. And we are not competitive right now. So what you're saying, selfish love, is absolutely correct. I want to bring Britt up though. Hey, Britt.
Hi, Miss Cherie. Can you hear me okay?
I can. What do you have, my lady?
Oh my gosh, y'all have been hitting it on the head since I've been listening. So I live near Quantico, Virginia, and I have a 15-year-old son, and he actually just applied for a program through NASA and the Department of Education, and they take on sophomores and juniors for different programs to meet engineers, scientists, and everything. And they even have a chance to compete to go to NASA to spend a week there during the summer. And it's amazing what y'all were talking about, because I told him, I said, sweetie, I said, I love you dearly, but if you're going to get this summer camp experience, you're going to compete likely against children across Virginia. And I told him once he dedicates himself to the program, he's got to stay focused. And it was a hard talk I had to have with him, because he's a very laid back sort of kid. He makes good grades. He does well in school, but in this area, the competition educationally is it's brutal in the Northern Virginia area, because some of the best schools in the country are here. So that was kind of a speech I had to give him, even though, he did apply. We think he's got a good chance, but he has ADHD, and he's on the spectrum. He's high functioning, and his father is not in the picture due to domestic abuse when he was a baby and things like that. And I got married, and he did have a positive male influence in the home who was not the same race as we are. My ex-husband was white. And one of the things that he emphasized was education, but also discipline and being around masculinity. And I know that word gets thrown around a lot on the internet, but I think there is something to it. My son has expressed military interest, but because of ADHD, he'll never be able to get in because of the military guidelines on medication for psych illnesses. So our alternative is the Virginia Defense Force, which is basically the volunteer section of the National Guard. And they can join at 16 with parental permission. It's one weekend out of a month at the most, and they are around people in rank. They do learn some of the basics about authority, military life. They also do expose them to some tech things and scientific things as well. Sadly, when the riots were happening in DC, my ex-husband was actually deployed up there with the National Guard to kind of help with some of the background stuff, since they weren't trained as thoroughly. So I don't think our boys should necessarily be sent to military schools, but I do think a lot of the structure that they need is not in place in our communities, just period. And seeing, I hate to say, just that strong male figure is extremely important. I'm doing the best that I can, but I am a single mom. And I do think that male influence and knowing that men have to compete. Women do too, but they compete, on a different level. And just letting him know that, even though, he's just 15, but that's a talk him and I have had when it's appropriate.
Yeah, I love your story, first of all, and congratulations to your son. It sounds like you're doing an amazing job. Um, I love the fact that he was able to find something military adjacent, because there are a lot of young men who need that kind of structure, you know? Um, again, I'm going to do a session one day on coming up pretty soon on men being in crisis and why we should care as Black women. And it's not just Black men that are in crisis, it's all men. And it's something we need to be aware of what's happening with the men. But with your son, you know, the fact that you were able to guide him and even put in that head, look, when you were there, use this opportunity and have your head on a swivel, like not a swivel of protection, but a swivel of what really is going on around me, right? Um,
Yeah.
I'll say another thing as well, and then I'll let you jump back in. When I went to college, my mother went to college, she got an associate's degree, but I got like a master's. And my parents at the time, as much as they loved me, they didn't know the all the things that I should do. So there are things that looking back, I wish I had done during my high school career, and I was pre-social media. This was in the early 90s when I went to college. So I think that us having these types of channels where we're able to impart on young women and young men, look, here are the things that you need to do so that you can do better than us, not only financially, but also in business, et cetera, so that they are also able to actually make it. Because again, the world is turning global. So I think that social media, even though it has some of its downsides, it can have massive upsides too. God bless Britt. Either one of you have something else to say?
And I was thinking also too, it was mentioned earlier about the income making a difference. I'm a late bloomer. I did not finish college actually until the pandemic. Until 2021 is when I finally got my full degree after 15 years. And it made a huge difference in income, which gave me more opportunities for both of my children. I also have a 21-year-old that has severe special needs. And being able to put them, like my son plays the viola. My daughter is in Special Olympics. Like things like that have really helped. And being able to get them a little extra tutoring has really been huge. I even was able to get a ADHD certified life coach for my son, a male at that, actually a dude. So, I mean, it's things like that. The money does help, but I had to make some.
Oh, you went out, Britt. Oh, she went out. I hope she pops back in. Hey, Steph, I see you here. I wanted to answer this question here, and God bless. Did you have anything to say with
Privilege of being able
regards
to
to?
stay at home for a little while when I
Oh,
was married in order to finish my education during the pandemic. So making those financial money choices makes a big difference. And that six-figure income is a life changer. Um, it completely changed the trajectory of the kids in our lives to where we can invest. I could teach my children about it, but it was a long time coming.
oh, yeah. So we kind of the end of what you said was a little muffled, but we did hear you went out as well, Britt. Ah, she went out again. Okay, she'll probably come back. God bless. Do you have anything to add?
Yes, just kind of backpedal a little bit. Cherie, when it comes to income
Mm-hmm.
and how in our community, because we lack the income, we can't push politicians to do certain things. When you
Mm-hmm.
lack income, you kind of scrape and grab for the bottom of the barrel. And
Mm-hmm.
so when people say, well, I was reading the chat and somebody made a good point about don't date broke. But realistic, and it was a data that came out, people marry within, when they do marry, they marry within a socioeconomic status.
Yep.
So a janitor is not going to marry a doctor. It just not going to be the case.
except with Black women.
Is that just
And
with
that,
Black women?
well, yeah, Black women as doctors do tend to marry economically down. Yes. And
Okay.
there are stats that do say that. However, if we are talking about dating cross culturally and we are the janitor as Black women, no, the chances of, I know that there are a lot of podcasts out there that like to sell you the dream. That some Fabio white doctor is going to come and save you from your $12 an hour job like Made in Manhattan with Jennifer Lopez. It ain't happening. That's a once in a gazillion chance. So, and everybody, the StreamYard link is pinned. So if you all want to come up, you can. But yeah, so people do tend to marry their economic equals, and it is also important. And again, this is why the purpose of my channel, I'm so strong with, let's get our income together and then let's get our wealth together as well. I want to see you ladies be able to take that income and flip it into cash producing assets so that if and when you do decide to get married and you say, okay, I want to stay at home with my child for
Mm,
5 years, it's not a strain on the marriage, strain on the finances. It's like, no, I've got a rental, I've got some dividend stocks, I got this, I got that. He may have to take care of the household bills, but at least you could take care of, your credit cards or whatever without it being a strain. Um,
is and I want to say this too, and also for ladies, what we need to stop. Um, I saw a lot of YouTubers. Any man or anyone that tells you your education is not important, our man doesn't care about that. Please run. Don't walk.
mhm.
Run away. Just run.
Yes.
It's that's when I hear that, it makes my skin crawl. It really does, because I was looking at a Netflix channel, and and this is a channel where eating Indians looking for, they do arranged marriage, and they have a list, and they go over the social economic status, like what job they have. I mean, just they don't. It's not a big deal. They just break it down. And so we have to get out of that mold. And all certain men in our community is telling us, hey, it's okay. We just want you to be submissive. I think that submission,
Oh God, no.
that submission talk is screwing, is also a good, and I believe in being submissive to each other. Okay, I'm not saying that part. But when I'm saying that submission is getting taken out of context, it means that I want you to stay broke. We can both stay broke, stay in poverty, but I'm gonna tell you what to do. And when you do work, give me your check. That's a problem, because you can't grow as a couple. Anybody that says that a community cannot grow if both partners do not have um and I don't want to say education, but don't have the means.
Hmm.
And
I
when
think you
men,
need both. I
yeah,
think we need, so when I was growing up, there was being street smart and book smart. I
mhm,
honestly think you need the three things. You need to be street smart, you need to be book smart, and you need to have the financial literacy piece as well that is put into action. Otherwise, the family structure falls apart. I don't want a man who is super book smart, super nerdy and athletic, but the minute, the robbers come to the door, he clams up. No, I want him getting the magnum, guns
oh
blazing.
gosh, you mean.
Right? But no, but let's be serious, right? I
Yeah, I
mean,
understand, I understand.
yeah, he may be scared, but like, no, yeah, that mean, obviously I'm saying that tongue in cheek, but I am
I know, I
serious
know, I
as
know. I'm
well,
just joking. Yeah.
right? um, but I was watching another podcast, and it was a black man, and he was talking about the fact that he was choosing to be selective about who he was going to have a child with because he didn't want like dumb children. And I think that
I
that's,
respect that.
yeah, and I respect that. And, I hate to call this person's name a celebrity, so, whatever. Remember Portia Williams from Real Housewives of Atlanta?
Yes,
I haven't
yes, I
watched it in
remember.
many years, but remember, she's very beautiful, a very beautiful
Yes,
woman who said that the Underground Railroad was a choo-choo train. Y'all remember
yeah,
that back in the
I
day?
remember that. I remember that.
My question is, okay, would I, as beautiful as she is, would I want her, if I were a man and, heterosexual, not, would I want her raising my child? Right? I mean, we have to
Yeah.
start thinking about these things. And Crystalline Carrison calls it like mercenary mating. But I
Mm.
think that we as Black women need to be mercenaries because guess what? Other groups of women, if they're smart, they are.
Well,
Why can't we?
a lot of them are because
Hmm.
and it's not about gold digger because
Hmm.
unfortunately, and it's no shame on our community. Our community has a lot of um structural racism and things in place that really hamper our economic growth. But
Hmm.
what but we the average Black woman can't be a gold digger because there's no gold to dig in the community for in our community.
Yeah.
We got sand, so we can be a sand digger, but we can't be a gold. And
But let's move it from men because we said we
yeah,
weren't going to talk about men too much tonight. Are there other things Stephanie? I know a couple of other people. If you all want to come on the panel, definitely come on because if not, we're definitely about to wrap it up. But God bless. Are there other things that you're thinking of? Because we didn't talk about femicide, for example. I'm surprised someone didn't bring it up, but
mm, yeah, yeah.
I put in here about safer
Mm.
communities. Like I have like a list of a couple of other things. I have on here about obesity, but one of the things I actually wrote two things about obesity for Black women. And I'm saying this is an obese woman, so I think there needs to be a re-education with regards to our eating and exercise. But
Totally
I
agree.
also think you cannot fight obesity in unsafe neighborhoods. And I'm not
Mm,
saying that every woman who is obese lives in an unsafe neighborhood, but I am saying if we did an analysis of where these obese women live, I wonder what percentage of them would live in unsafe neighborhoods.
mm.
Um, so I would want a study done on that. And I do think, because I was listening to a male podcaster and he was saying, you women say you don't want to go out and walk, the street and do your power walks. Well, just work out inside. And I said, yeah. And then she becomes a 36, 24, 36, and she walks out with a dress on. And what happens?
Oh gosh. Mm.
So you understand what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah, I
so
understand.
we have to, when we're looking at the Black women's agenda, we have to kind of think 3, 4 steps ahead. And I don't think a lot of people on YouTube are doing that.
Well, I think also um we need to focus on for Black women. Um because of course we've been taught to be so strong, to think
Hmm.
about how to build up our family.
Hmm.
Please, Black women, rest your body. Rest your body, rest your mind. Um Treat your body as and I have to learn that because I'm in the process of doing that myself. Treat your body as precious as it can be. And I think that we just need to talk about the mental and physical health of what goes on in our community. And regardless
Hmm.
if you're a black woman, a woman or a man, we really do need to focus on that. We focus on sometimes for Black women, fitness as a way of how you would look in some I know some a pants or a tracksuit. I don't know what the young people do, but that's what we focus on. But it's more deeper than that.
Yeah. Stephanie, hello.
Hey, hi Sherry. Hi everybody else on the panel. I want to keep piggybacking off this health part for just a little bit more, if you don't mind.
Sure.
I am one of these small people with familial cholesterol, which means that it's very important for me to pay attention to what I eat, right? How much sleep I get, vitamin D, sunlight. I had even spoke about this earlier to the women. And I just recently started taking like a women's multivitamin pack with a human hormone growth in it called Cerebral Vital, right? Because when you guys are talking about health, it affects us in every way imaginable, right? So because I have this I was born like this, right? I'm one of those people where my body overmakes high levels of cholesterol regardless of what I do. So I have to take certain medications, eat certain way, exercise, and get proper rest so I don't have a heart attack and die, right? All right. So in knowing that, that puts an extra pressure on me to always worry about taking care of me. I don't have time to put something else or someone else in front of me because I won't be here to take care of it. So that what you're talking about is very serious. And a lot of times I'm aware of it. A lot of Black women don't know about things that are building up inside of them because we always take on so much from this world and are responsible for so many things. So I just want to put that in there to say what the lady is, God bless, is saying about health. Take it seriously. Please start doing what I'm doing, and other women, like, get in, have those doctors really really explain how things affect your body, how it works specifically for you, what else you need to be as fit and as healthy as you can be, so you can be here for the long haul. And the second thing I want to say is that Cherie, I started looking into schoolies, like the buses and the vans and the shuttle buses that
Mm-hmm.
a lot of people are turning into like homes, spaces they could live in
Yes.
on wheels. And I started looking at this simply because of the big eviction situation with Black women all across the country.
Mm-hmm.
And I wanted to say to Black women, that is also an alternative to us with the housing crisis. If you're getting to the point where you know you can't make up this money and the rent arrears are ridiculous, right? But you do have a little money left over, there is no shame in going in and buying a $500 to $1,000 beat up old school bus, seeking these schooly people out, or even sitting down and watching some of the YouTube videos. They show you from beginning to end how to renovate that bus, insulate it, so that you and your children not only have transportation, but you have a roof over your head where no one could chase you around and say, oh, you didn't give me this month's rent, you got to go. While you're moving to the next level or plateau in your life, we got to like find alternative ways to make things work for us, because we are the most marginalized group in this country and things don't affect us the way they affect everybody else. So we have to find ways, fancy ways or specific things to work for us. And the third thing would be, I would like to see Black women helping each other the way we used to. Like Cherie said earlier, prior to the internet, I remember rent parties. I remember us swapping things using the barter system, where if I needed something from you, I couldn't pay you for it. Maybe I watched your kids for a week, whatever the case may be. I knew how to perform a service. You did something for me. We need to go back to those times. And if we need to start living together to make rent and ends meet, let's do that, because we're no stranger to being our sister's keeper. So why can't we go back to that? I'm
Yeah.
good. I really appreciate, I've been digging all your lives the whole week,
Thank
right?
you. Thank you so much. And
I've
I'm
been
glad
digging
you
it.
came up as well. I didn't want to call you out, but I was like, I know she's gonna hit that StreamYard link, right?
Oh
Say
yeah, yeah.
something.
Listen, I was playing in the grocery store, but I was listening the whole time.
Oh goodness. So everybody, yes, please like the video, please share this live. And I will say I'm on the path to 1,000 subscribers, not because I want glory and things like that, but
Yes,
because it will unlock my ability to use the community tab, ladies. And
that's
there are a
right.
lot of things that I see, and I don't have time to make videos all day.
That's right.
But what if you ladies help me get to 1,000 subscribers and it unlocks the community tab, I could throw things in there for you as well with regards to, things that Stephanie is saying about rental assistance or grant programs that I'm coming across, things like that. I
Yeah.
think that we can create what Stephanie is talking about in a virtual ecosystem. So, we can have something where if somebody has something, let's say, Stephanie is in New York, but I'm in Maryland, that's a drive away,
Mm-hmm.
So um, we should use technology in a way that is going to be beneficial to us as well. I do want to say Dark and Lovely has here, and I'm sorry to hear this. Facts, being that strong Black woman backfired by taking my eyesight. My immune was so strong it became an autoimmune disorder. I now take an anti-immune suppressant and make sure to honor my body and rest. First of all, I'm so sorry to
Yeah.
hear this, but this is, I think, important for the people who are in here listening to this, that it's important for us to get our annual checkups. It's
Yeah.
important for us to either, if you're not on Medicaid, get on Medicaid. If you need to make more money, if you need to get a certain job in order to get health benefits. But a lot of us aren't going to the doctor because of money or things like that. Part of the Black women's agenda may be to figure out different ways for us to make sure we can get the proper medical care. I talked
Mm-hmm.
before about, this is before Stephanie came in, I talked about the maternal death rates, which I think is a
Yes.
darn shame. And there
Mm-hmm.
was an article in CNN that came out today that said that 36%, I think it is here,
Mm-hmm.
36%. I'm actually should put it on the screen here, Stephanie, for you and everybody else who just came in.
Can I
Um,
speak to that?
yeah, just one second for me, please.
Yeah.
It's 36% of US counties are maternity care deserts.
Yes.
What do you think these US counties and areas are?
In the
They
Black
are in
communities.
our neighborhoods.
Yeah.
Exactly. Go ahead, Stephanie.
I was gonna say the way that we could bust a dent in that is to stop going to the hospitals, ladies. Start utilizing those doulas and those midwives. They can come to you, and you don't have to go to places where you're gonna be, hit with implicit bias or anything where a person who doesn't like you just because of what you are, they have the authority to abuse and do something to you that's going to end your life or your child's life. You can eliminate that by just simply using a doula and a midwife.
Yeah.
Period. And then
Yeah.
the other thing, in reference to the health, when people can't afford it, there's private insurance out here, guys, that is affordable, like Forward. If you guys have ever heard of Forward, that's only one of them. You pay like $99 a month, and you go to the particular locations they tell you to go to, and it's real healthcare. And there are several more like them. You just pay monthly, but you will have top notch doctors. Their stuff is really high tech. Um, Try it and just Google sometimes private health insurance. You'd be surprised what you come up with.
Yes, absolutely. And one of the things I said earlier, Stephanie, before you came, is that I would love to see us have more Black women, more
Mhm.
young Black women, be able to get into the medical field without student debt. How do we
Without
set
what?
it student debt without any student
Oh,
loans?
you.
So, like, how do we get more? And we had the conversation earlier before you came.
Mhm.
More young Black women to become LPNs, RNs, anesthesiologists.
Mm.
Um, go ahead.
They got to look. There are a couple of books in the library. I don't know if people still go to the library, but I do. There's one called the Internship Bible and Externship.
Hmm.
And also, I know for a fact there is a specific program in Cuba that trains Black women and Hispanic women only in the medical fields, everything from doctor to whatever. So I don't know what the relationship currently is now with America and Cuba, but that has always existed. So there are programs out there. We just don't have everybody telling us where they are. So we need to start looking for that. But I
Yeah,
know,
and
yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say, yeah. And I think that this is where we all come together and kind of pull together what are the things that we want and be able to rely on each other for information, having one big resource directory or something like that. And also pulling the little bit of money we still have strong economic power if we come together and start putting the politicians in place that we need in order to put the legislation
Yes.
in that we need to move our agenda forward. Someone is asking for the name of the insurance again. You said forward.
Forward, yes.
Yes.
Like walking forward.
Yeah. Um, so, and Mary's saying yes to private insurance. Yeah, I think between that and like just trying to figure out ways for us, especially with young women or women who have children who do not make, enough money, right? That are living in impoverished areas. What can we do to help them be able to level up? Without them taking on student loans or being able to only work one job and then study and not have to take on two and three jobs or things like that. Because I think that and I've said this on this channel, this is the whole purpose of this channel is um, we can't build wealth without income. So we want to build more income and then
Mhm.
also be able to translate that into more wealth so that we are able to retire, leave generational wealth to our kids and grandkids, things like that.
Cherie, I found it.
Okay.
It says Fidel Castro's initiative of free medical education for Afro-Indigenous and less privileged Americans has reformed the country's education system and positioned it globally. Black and Latino students are admitted to Cuban medical schools on merits, and they must make up 6% of annual medical graduates in this country. So, if you want, I could type the website in the chat.
Yeah, and then I can pin it.
Yeah, because they have that free medical school. And there you
Yes.
are. All right. Okay, I'm
Okay.
gonna do that. All right.
Okay. Perfect. Perfect.
Mhm.
If anybody else wants to come on, it is last call. Last call for anybody else who wants to come on. Um, while Stephanie is posting that.
Yeah. I don't know if your will allow me to copy and paste, so I might have to like
Can
type
you
it.
put it? Yeah, if you put it in the chat, I'll pin it.
Try to. Hold
Oh,
on,
it's
let me
not
see.
working.
I don't know. I'm gonna try it just now. I was writing it down because sometimes
Okay.
depending on the person, it doesn't let me do it. Hold on. Sorry, Cherie. Cherie, keep
No, it's
going.
okay.
I'm over here
It's okay.
struggling.
Okay, that's no problem, man. It was Cuban doctors that went to Europe to cure COVID patients. Health is wealth, definitely. Organized resources will appear. Yes, it's forward insurance, everybody. Um, Many colleges have direct entry programs from high school to automatically be accepted to an adjacent med school from high school through application and GPA as long as you do well while in college. Okay. Um, and I would just again want to make sure that there's no student loans that are attached to that because as somebody who has student loans and has a lot of student loans, I don't want to see young women having to go through that. So um, I'm coming out of that season and transitioning back to seeing. My exams and blood work are always good. The uveitis, inflammation of the eyes, triggered additional testing from an immunologist. I'm so glad to hear that. I'm glad you are on the road to recovery. Union College has a program where I think in freshman or sophomore year, you can apply to med school based on GPA and application. And it is a 6 to 7 year program to get both bachelor's and MD. Okay, fantastic. Yeah. This situation alerted me to that regular exams don't pick up everything. Build a healthcare team. I agree with that. Okay, so Stephanie has put the link in here. Let me pin it for everybody. Replace pin
Oh,
message.
Cherie,
There we
you know
go.
what I thought
Yeah.
about too?
Uh huh.
Tell them don't forget about schools like Harvard Medical and etc. because they also have minority programs.
Mm-hmm.
So they could just go look as well because I think they had that Crimson program to bring
Okay.
in children of color because you know they don't have a lot of us there.
Yeah.
And then American medical programs, they could look into Google that and see what comes up as well. Because
Okay.
there's a lot of stuff out there, but you know, since I'm not in that area, I don't really know much about it. But that's what I would just put in and
Yeah.
see what comes up.
Perfect. Okay, ladies. Well, so I don't see anybody else in here. This is going to be super last call. I'm going to put the link here in case anybody wants to come in. I'm going to say some final remarks, and Stephanie can say her final remarks, and then we should get out of here. I did see someone say that I should have the community tab in about a week. I just hit 500 like a couple of days ago, so I'll check for that. But yeah, I've been wanting to do that. Questbridge program as well. Okay, and we need a. I don't like Telegram because you can't like find messages that are old. We'll try to figure out something else. I'm not a big fan of Discord either for that same purpose.
Yeah, me neither. Woo.
Yeah, so we need something more organized. And look, the great thing about being women is we know how to like take something and organize it because I would want something that's searchable.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So all right then. So yeah, so look, here's my agenda, ladies. And you can add your own stuff and you all have been definitely adding stuff in. So definitely, pushing more on the Crown Act. Y'all know that the Crown Act
Indeed.
is Black women should be able to wear our locks, our braids, our natural hair and be seen as professional. It should not stop us from getting promotions, from being accepted into school, from having our daughters accepted into school. Our daughters are being sent home from some of these schools because they're wearing their natural hair. So the Crown Act is only approved in 18 states. We need to get it approved in all 50 states.
Exactly.
Maternity deaths is another one that I have. I've spoken ad nauseum about that tonight. Black femicide, we didn't really speak that much about it, but I definitely have that written down with regards to punishment for perpetrators. And we need to re-educate Black women with a massive media campaign on what is and is not acceptable behavior from men and other women as well. So go ahead.
I think because I'm heavy into the Black femicide, I'm about to start a new petition for that.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing is, I think Black women need to have their own domestic violence like handbook that includes the family portion as
Mm-hmm.
well as the perpetrator, because a lot of us are caught in situations where we don't have no support. Like we could be in a situation where we're getting really beat, but when
Mm-hmm.
we go run to mom or the rest of the family or girlfriend or whoever, they're trying to push us back into the situation, or they shelter us for a small amount of time and then literally bring the offender to us.
Mm-hmm.
And it's too much for some Black women. It really is.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's something I've never gone through, but my heart aches when I see situations like this. Safer communities is something else that I have. Y'all know how I am about crime. We're going to have to get tough on crime as Black women if we want safer communities. 21st century education for our kids. Um, Obesity within Black women, healthcare within Black women, talking about that. Also, I talked about the Black women being able to get a higher education, especially within nursing or technology, without incurring debt. If a Black girl wants to be a nurse, a scientist, get into special types of coding that pay very well, she should not have to incur student debt for that. Um,
Can I add in?
sure.
There are I have went for engineering and then dropped out, which I shouldn't have. They have associations of Black women who, if you reach out to some of those associations, they actually have mentors, guys. So you can find people to help you through the hoops. Like there what is it? It's Black Women Engineering Associates, and
Mm-hmm.
there's Black women in oh my God, STEM. There's quite a few. So just type all that stuff in, and there'll be so many things to pop up for you to contact and see, find somebody to mentor you through whatever it is you want to do.
Yeah. So Stephanie, what I would love to see, remember the Milk It Does a Body Good campaign many
Yes.
years ago?
Mm-hmm.
That was done because people weren't really drinking milk, and the government needed a way to encourage people to drink milk. And now we drink milk all the time. The reason why I'm so insistent on like multimedia campaigns for these things is
Mm-hmm.
because a lot of these programs are already out here, but they're so underground, and all we see Black women who are successful doing is OnlyFans, twerking. I won't say the only thing, but primarily what they
Right.
see is OnlyFans, twerking, things like that, which is why I think, remember when Hidden Figures came out many years
Yeah.
ago?
Mm-hmm.
How inspirational it was, or a different world came out, and people all of a sudden got the bug to want to go to college, right?
Right.
I think we need to also push not just for the programs that are out there, because the programs are actually already out there, but for a multimedia campaign to be done to actually have young women see, oh wow, I can do that as well, I can be that as well, you know um, because I think
I
it's important
agree.
for them to be able to visualize these things. And when I say multimedia, I mean commercials, I mean movies.
Mm-hmm.
Where's the Black Panther for women who want to be scientists?
Well, that's
Well,
coming. Siri is
yeah.
the new Black Panther, the little sister.
Yes, yes. So I heard
Mm-hmm.
that. So, but I do think we need to have those things. I also have on here business funding for Black women. If we are opening up more businesses than any other group out there, we should have special funding just for us because we are already behind the eight ball with when it comes to being properly funded. More home ownership for Black women. With a lot of promotion with regard to the government programs that are already out there, promotion for Black women marrying before you have children. And again, I'm not talking about marrying a dusty or marrying somebody who is not deserving of it. However, I do believe that more Black women should be married before having children. And then, part of the Black women agenda should include Black boys. Again, I'm talking 3, 5, 7, 10, you know, because a lot of Black women do have sons, and I don't think it's fair for us to dismiss
It's
the
not.
sons.
I have three of them.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's not fair. And I
Yeah.
did a lot of work with them.
Hmm. Yeah, it takes a lot of work. Especially if you are a single woman and you're doing the best that you can. And there are certain content creators out there. I'm not going to say any names with regards to this, but I didn't like how dismissive they were of Black male children. I don't think that that's right.
It's not,
Yeah.
because we don't, I know I don't have enough money to go to the doctor and say, I want a girl, take away the boy,
Hmm.
and have them play with the sex of my child before the child is here. I don't
Yeah.
have money like that. So I have to take what I'm given, you know?
Yeah.
And I think sometimes their anger and resentment gets in the way of reality. Like, we can't throw our children back once we have them. We just have to make them better than the ones that we have the problem with.
Yeah. And there has to be a way. When God Bless was up here before, she was talking about her son, and how um we just need to figure out a way to, she was talking about the fact that, are we saying that being Black is inherently bad? And the answer is no. But we need to figure out a way to set, especially the boys, and yes, we're talking about the girls as well, but in this case, especially the boys, how do we set up a path for them to be successful? you know it can't just be, well, they're boys, toss them to the streets. I can't believe that. I know that there's got
Cherie,
to be a better way. Yes.
personally, and this is just me,
Mm-hmm.
I kept my sons sheltered,
Mm-hmm.
and I kept them busy in things that made them have character. And when I say that, I mean, I was at home, I was teaching them everyday things. Like back in the days, we had checkbooks. So I used to teach them how to balance checkbooks, how to pay bills, come with me to the bank. We had passbooks back when my sons, they're grown now. They had passbooks when they were young for their own savings accounts. They had little jobs that I gave them around the house where they got their allowance. If they didn't do it, they didn't get their allowance. They still had to do the job. They went to the boys' clubs. I didn't let them socialize with people that I felt was a bad influence. Did that take a lot of work on my part? Yes, it did, because basically I had to keep them like right up underneath me. Don't do this, don't do that. You got to do it this way. It's done that way. People would give me a lot of flack for it, telling me that I was overbearing, and they called me a helicopter mom, whatever that is. And it worked for me. It worked. I had all my kids went to good schools. They went to a decent college, in my opinion. My middle son, he went to, what is it, Brooklyn Tech. You know about the specialty schools here in New York?
A little bit, yeah.
That's supposed to be a good school. I had my oldest son go to Bronx Science. That's a good school. My daughter, she also went to Bronx Science. My other kids, they didn't do so great on the specialized testing, so they went to the regular zone schools, but they scored well. And all of them end up going to Barry University in Miami on a scholarship. And then because it was so many of them, they gave me a discount on the tuition. So it's like, you have to put a lot of time in these guys and just be very honest with them. And sometimes you have to be brutal. I'm not going to lie to you. Did I have to like collar one of my sons up in the kitchen and threaten his life? Yes.
Oh my goodness.
I'm so serious, Cherie, because it's like when he got to the point where he was like 16 and he was bigger than me, taller than me, so he thought he could get strong on me. And so, you know, I'm not saying everything I did, but I had to show him, yeah, but mommy still could throw you all around this house. It doesn't go like that. You have to do what I say. And then I had another son where he was very challenging with the people he wanted to hang around in the streets. And I had to go out there literally and drag him literally out the streets. Like from wherever he was hanging out in this barbershop. And I had to go get him out of there, embarrass him and everything. Like, dude, you're not going to be one of these people. That's not happening.
Yeah.
And even when the fathers were there, I'm going to hurry up. But even when the fathers were there, because I have 2 marriages and 2 divorces, right? The dads were there throughout the children's lives, but the consistency of the other parent was not as good as mine. Like, they were good with the money. They were good with, you know, following up. If I say, listen, you got to get on him about this, blah, 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 blah. But it was all me. All me. Like, I was determined. Okay, you got too much time on your hand? Football, soccer, this, that. After school, tutoring, piano, this, that. No free time.
Yeah, you look, but that takes money, that takes attention, that takes dedication. And I think it was God Bless that said this as well. If you have a CNA, so making $12 an hour, basically working 60 hours a week, no help, that is unfortunately, well, you can, but if she's working 60 hours a week and she doesn't have anybody to like take the child there or things like that, I can understand how it can be difficult.
But you can do it, because I had what they call domestic service agencies where I paid for people. And when you go to some of those community programs, they have transportation. So they gotta look. And I know everything is not like New York. I'm not saying it is, but there are things in other places. You just gotta really look. And sometimes you do have to trust some of the people in your community that you know are good character. And you gotta ask them. If you can't listen, then you have to literally go to places like the church or places where people, an extension of the church, where you know somebody's going to be a decent person you can trust, and entrust your child to them. You have to. It's the only. We can't always do everything by ourselves. Yeah. I mean, I was strong on my boys, but I always had people to help me that I paid for. Pick them up from school, take them here, make sure this is done. I'll be home by this time. I had the privilege of doing that, but just because I had a little bit of money doesn't mean a person without the same money can't get it done. They can. It's just going to take a little more work.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm going to let you go, say some final words, and then hop out here because this is the longest stream I've ever had. So thank you, Stephanie, for coming up.
Yep. Good night, y'all.
Good night. All right, ladies, thank you so much. There were a couple of final comments that I wanted to talk about here. First of all, don't forget to like the video. Don't forget to share the stream. I am so honored that you all, so many of you, are in here tonight to have this very important conversation. Live and Lovin' is saying, Black women, do not neglect your daughters for your sons just because she is not as prone to be problematic. Don't think you can skip off on teaching her womanhood. I agree with this as well. You may have to raise your daughters differently than your sons, but both of them need to have structure from you. You know, daughters need to know, look, I remember my great grandmother looking at me and she said, I can't believe I'm telling y'all this story, but might as well. She said, Cherie, you know, the position, and I was like 15 years old. She said, you know, the position you're in when you have sex? And I said, yes. And at the time, she was about 80 years old. So imagine her saying this to me. I'm 15. She said, you know the position you have when you're having sex? I said, yes. She said, that's the same position you're in when you have a baby. You got it? And I said, yes. And that was it. That was my sex ed from my 80-plus-year-old great grandmother. But you know what? It worked because every time I thought about doing something with a boy, all I thought about was my grandmother looking at me. And y'all know how those old school Louisiana Black women are when they look at you. And she said that to me. Yeah. But you want to be able to have honest conversations and make sure that your daughter is protected. Make sure, especially with these days, that she's protected on social media, you know, because there are a lot of crazy people on social media getting into our daughter's DMs. They're doing it for the sons as well. So, you know, just protection all around. And there was somebody else that has the comment of the evening. Dark and Lovely is saying, we need a STEM Does the Mind Good campaign. You can coin that. Well, I absolutely love that. I know that there are women on here who may be in the media space. So yeah, look, let's do a campaign and let young women, and this, let's specifically say it for this, know that there are other options for them. I believe in us. I believe that we are able to do it. So that is the comments of the evening. Everybody, thank you so much for being here this evening. You all have done such an amazing job. I was kind of nervous when I first came on about the topic, but I love this community. You all definitely had some great pieces of information. We are going to do it again. We're going to have more conversations just about getting our money up, period. I will see you all on Thursday evening. And don't forget to like the video on your way out. Share, share, share. And I will see you all on the next video. Take care. Bye.